How a little girl was actually raised by a pack of dogs has us in complete awe. While other kids her age thrived under the nurturing guidance of loving parents, Oksana Malaya experienced an unconventional style of parenting. She was raised by a pack of dogs. When police were finally alerted to the situation, they rescued Oksana from the decrepit conditions she lived in and planned to reacclimate her to modern society. They soon realized she was unlike any other child on the planet. Although this may look like the face of a typical young woman, Oksana Malaya had anything but an ordinary upbringing. From the moment she was born in 1983, her life was filled with struggle. To say she grew up impoverished would be a gross understatement. Oksana was raised in the slums of Novaya Blagoveshchensk, Ukraine, where it was a constant battle to survive. Some locals thought nothing of making horrendous choices. You'd like to think Oksana's parents were two loving people who understood their dire living situation and wanted to still give the best life possible to their daughter. However, her reality couldn't have been more different. Sadly, both her mother and father were neglectful alcoholics who paid little attention to their daughter's well-being. She realized at an early age her parents offered nothing in terms of care, so she found solace somewhere else. After her parents accidentally locked her out of the house at age 3, she crawled into an open dog kennel. She curled up with the canines and found comfort in the way they seemed to welcome her in. Her parents were so busy drinking themselves into oblivion they didn't even realize Oksana was missing. She started spending nearly all of her time with the dogs, living off their scraps. For 5 years this was her existence. Miraculously, the police eventually received a tip from someone who noticed a young girl living in utter squalor. When they arrived, however, they encountered someone who hardly resembled a human being anymore. Oksana might have had the physical body of a human, but her mannerisms completely mirrored those of a canine. When authorities first approached her, she charged at them on all fours, snapping wildly with her teeth. Oksana was beyond mentally damaged. She lived with the dogs for so long, she lost nearly all ability to act like a person. She made grunting sounds and gnawed at everything around her. She was officially labeled as feral. Oksana was part of a minuscule demographic of neglected children who turned to animals for parental guidance. The young girl was brought to workers at the Feral Children Project in a desperate attempt to help her regain her human characteristics. The very first step in acclimating Oksana into the world was helping her learn to walk upright. After spending so many years on all fours, it was a wobbly beginning. However, Oksana slowly began to move like a human. A majority of the legwork done for Oksana's mental rehabilitation took place at a foster home in the Ukraine, with doctors who specialized in helping severely handicapped children. They were determined to get Oksana on the right track. It took years to undo the damage Oksana suffered from such a disastrous upbringing, but she slowly began speaking simple words and learning basic tasks, like tying her shoes and brushing her teeth. Doctors and experts knew it was likely impossible to remove all of the trauma that Oksana's kennel life inflicted on her, but over time, she made incredible progress. However, her past would always remain in her thoughts. Oksana would never forget eating dirty food from trash bins and barking wildly whenever encountering discomfort. However, this gave her an incredibly unique perspective on the animal world, and it was one she would never completely lose. Her connection to animals made her an ideal candidate to work alongside them. She understood their mentality better than anyone who didn't spend their formative years looking to them for a sense of belonging. She found supervised work at a local farm tending to the livestock. It was almost as if the animals felt the struggle she lived through, and she was able to subconsciously speak to them through her gentle touch. Oksana's story garnered tons of attention once the media caught wind of her miraculous recovery. She was interviewed on a Ukrainian talk show where she divulged her incredible journey from animal to human. She was even featured on a groundbreaking television series. An anthropologist named Mariana Chota visited the farm where Oksana worked for her show Raised Wild on Animal Planet. She tracked down the rehabilitated young woman and chatted about the horrifying truth behind feral kids. Oksana Malaya's story was one of the most heartbreaking when it came to feral children, but her miraculous turnaround made it unique. Most never recover. However, experts pointed out that a childhood with animals doesn't always result in severe mental deterioration. Thank you for watching this fantastic story. Please tap one of the 2 videos on your screen for another amazing wonder stories.